Today we will talk about wind speed, wind direction, and how these components determine what runways should be used. A pilot decides what runway to use based on wind speed and direction. Wind direction is generally reported by the direction in which the wind originates from. For example, a south wind will blow from the south to the north. Wind speed is the rate at which air is moving horizontally past a certain point. On any non-aviation weather service, you may recognize this as miles per hour or kilometers per hour. However, in aviation, knots are the unit used in place of miles per hour to kilometers per hour. They are equal to 1 nautical mile per hour or 1.150 miles per hour. So how does a pilot determine which runway to use depending on wind speed and direction? Well, runway numbers correspond with the compass bearing and are determined by rounding the compass bearing with one end of the runway to the nearest 10 degrees. When you take a look at the numbers located at the end of a runway, they are always going to be labeled from 1 through 36. On this diagram, we will use runway 27 as our example. The number 27 corresponds to 270 degrees on a compass bearing. This runway will be used if the wind direction is coming from a west heading blowing into the east. We can find out this information by either using an auto aviation weather service, like ForeFlight or Aviation Weather Center, where we can either look at the METR, TAF, and winds, or by looking at the windsock. But what is a windsock? A windsock is a flexible cone that resembles a giant sock. It's used as a basic indicator of wind speed and direction. Windsocks will be located near runways, typically higher up, and work as wind enters from the wider end and escapes from the narrower end. The alternating white and orange bands around a windsock represent 3 knots of wind. Wind speed is indicated by the windsock's angle, and the direction the narrower end of the windsock is pointing at is the direction the wind is blowing towards. Since we are using runway 27 as our example, winds blowing between 225 and 315 degrees are ideal to limit any major crosswind landings or takeoffs. Crosswinds can create a sideways force on an aircraft attempting to land, making it significantly more difficult to stay on centerline. Crosswind landings are one of the trickiest skills to learn, and not having good technique in crosswinds could result in damage to the aircraft. Pilots must account for this component of air travel to ensure safety. So why wouldn't you want to land on runway 09 if the wind is coming from the west? Well, it's always important to remember that when landing, you want to do your best to land and take off into the wind or headwind. Otherwise, you risk overshooting your landings or are unable to achieve lift during takeoff. When taking off headwind, it increases the flow of air over the wings, allowing you to climb at a greater angle to clear any obstacles. We know this by Newton's third law that for every action there is an equal and opposite pushback upwards, resulting in lift. When landing headwind, the plane is pushed back and slows down. This allows for a slower ground speed, less runway, greater climb angle, and greater descent angle, which all results in a safer touchdown. With all the information we have covered in this video, you should now have a basic understanding of wind speed and direction. If you'd like to see more videos just like this one, share, like, subscribe, and comment below.